All good. All good.
It's
Is it
so cold. I'm so cold. I'm always so cold.
nice? I like the fresh weather, man. It's
No,
good.
man, I'm just freezing the whole time. I don't want to leave the house ever. So,
It's good. Nice fresh weather in the morning. Go for a walk in the morning. Come back.
no, I'm asleep in the morning. I do not wake up to go for a walk in the morning. I sleep and Suki sleeps with me.
Fair enough. This is you and Sufi in bed now at the moment.
He's up and around the house. He's just confused why nobody's at home suddenly. He's just like, suddenly there was everybody, suddenly there's nobody, and I'm stuck with the most boring person in the house. So I'm just like, okay.
We've given Kenzo away to someone else for a while because Zainab is not.
I heard because Zainab's
So,
gone.
so yeah, wait for a few more people to join in, I think, and then we'll go for it.
Yeah, people are joining. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Yeah,
I was last live, like, I don't know how, so long ago.
this is the first live I've done. So
Ah, yes. This is the first live with me. I feel so special.
that's good. That's good. Can't wait for a couple more minutes.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, everyone.
How's it going, guys? She's waving.
Hello. Hi, Sham. Oh, you can hear Sufi. I'll just shut the door.
Cool. Should we start? Should we go for it?
Yes.
Let's
Let's
do it.
begin.
Okay.
It is 6:30 p.m. here.
Yeah, it's 6:30. So good evening, everyone. Everyone who's joined. Thanks for joining. So just before we start, I've got Saloni Saraf here, who is, well, in my eyes, a world famous dancer.
Nothing like that. Who's barely a
World
dancer.
famous dancer who's gone viral many times on Instagram as
Why do
well.
you know it's gone
Essentially,
viral?
so no, she's a good friend of mine, and she's a great dancer. And I thought it would be just good to ask her about some of her insights and the journey that she's been through since she started dancing. Before we start, just a bit about myself. My name is Amir. For those of you that don't know me, I am mainly in real estate and hotels and hospitality, and come from a banking background, so pretty stereotypical. But I am also a motivational speaker on the side, and through my Instagram page and different mediums, I basically allow people to realize that the beauty of life lies in the uncertainty, and to keep powering on regardless of the challenges that you have. My main message is to stay positive, stay hungry, and stay persistent. So great. Thanks for joining, everyone. And any comments, any questions, just put them in the comment box, and then we will answer them at the end, if that's okay. Great. So Saloni, let's start off. So I think first and foremost, how did you first get into the world of dancing?
So, like most dancers that I know, I started really, really young. I started dancing just because, you know, when you're young, your mom asks, you know, enrolls you in a class. My brother was enrolled in tabla classes. I was enrolled in Khattak classes. I loved dancing as a kid, and so I started dancing. And it was just once a week classes. I don't think I was Hajil. I don't think I was doing it very seriously whatsoever. It's just something I love doing, and it's something I never thought I would end up doing professionally. I kept dancing for my whole life. I went off to boarding school for a few years where I decided to come back and pursue a course in journalism. And I decided after that, because while I was in boarding school, I was dancing the whole time as well. I came back, I reconnected with the dance world here, and I realized that this is the one thing that gives me a lot of happiness, and it makes me it one of those things where you feel like you can do anything. And so dance for me was one of those things. And I was in a very lucky position in life where I was able to dive into it as a career, thanks to the support of my family, my parents, you know, the people around me. And so I just thought to myself, you know, why not? There aren't enough creatives in the world, and so let me do it. And so I decided I'm going to be a dancer.
That's brilliant. So when you, so you say, you know, you obviously you said that you were going to you went through all the classes and everything, and then you said basically that there aren't enough creative people in the world and stuff like that. But I think what would be interesting to find out is, what was that one moment you sort of realized and you said to yourself, you know, man, I'm a pretty good dancer.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've had that moment yet. I still look.
Surely you must have. There must have been one moment where you like, I was pretty good in that video.
Nah, you know what? Most of the time I look, you know, it's hilarious because you'll film something and you'll do something and you'll think to yourself, yeah, this is pretty good. And then you'll put it up. And then a week or two later, you'll look back at it and be like, Jesus, that was awful. Why did I even think it was good enough? And I'll end up like deleting it or archiving it or doing something or the other to it. I don't think you ever get to the stage where you think you're good enough. Fair. So I think, honestly, if you get to the stage where you think you're good enough, then you've lost the battle in the first place. So I just think it's better to keep going, keep thinking that you can always do better. I still look at myself and hello everyone. It's still better to just, you know, push through. I think the minute you think you've won or you've made it,
yeah, I think there's a great quote, is that sort of the key in life is always to realize that you're always going to be the eternal student, rather than actually saying that I finally made it. But no, that's good. But
that was actually the first thing I learned in one of my dance classes a few years later when I was a bit older. I walked in and it was one of my first classes with one of my gurujis, my current teacher, Sujata Banerjee, where I walked in and she went, you will never know everything.
That's true.
It's such a vast subject. You will never know everything, and you will always be a student. And the minute you feel like you know everything, you've lost your battle. And I think that's something that's stuck with most dancers I know, most creators I know.
So, like, okay, so you obviously we've covered the inspirational aspect and how you sort of started young and stuff. But like, what do you feel are the main skills required in order to become a good dancer?
See, I don't know about good dancer, but I think in order to be a good creative, I personally feel like something that's helped me is having a sense of openness, because as with any form of art, there is no right, there is no wrong. And so everything you do it's subjective. It's up to different people's perspective, and you're going to be working with a million people. So if you don't have a sense of openness towards your work, towards understanding new opinions, understanding new perspectives, understanding new ways of movement, then you're just going to be stuck in your little bubble, and you'll never be able to expand your mind or even expand your body as a result of expanding your mind. So obviously you could go down the whole list of, you need to be fit, you need to do this, you need to do that. But first and foremost, you need to have an open mind, and you just need to be able to let go. After some point, stop trying to control everything you're doing.
No, I think when I'm watching you dance and I'm watching other dancers, I think the main skill that I see is just the sort of passion behind expressing themselves. I think a lot of people as well, they sometimes find it very difficult to express themselves in words or through writing and stuff. And one of the main ways that a lot of people express themselves is through a form of dance or acting or through the creative arts. So I think that's also quite an interesting. I feel that's a skill that a lot of people need to have, is just the confidence in expressing themselves through a different medium.
And even when you are performing, I was also told this one thing, that if you are not having fun on stage,
Yeah,
nobody's going to have fun watching you on stage. So
that's true.
you could be doing the best dance in the world. You could be technically perfect. You could have practiced for years and years and years for this one performance. But if you look like you're having a rotten time and you're not allowing yourself to just let go and enjoy yourself. Actually,
Yeah.
there's this story. I was rehearsing for this one performance years and years and years ago. I think it was probably one of my first solos, and I was rehearsing, and I was with a mentor of mine, and I kept doing the piece over and over again, and she was like, why do you look so bored, or why do you look so stiff, or why do you look like, you know, it's not fun to watch you? And she told me, stop thinking that you're doing Kathak. Stop thinking that you're doing this form of dance which has these rules, which has this style of movement, which has this, syllabus. And the minute you feel like that, you're going to feel stiff. Obviously have your training, obviously stick to the way you're doing it, but at some point just forget about that and believe that you're just dancing.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, to dance is to let go. It's to have fun.
of course.
When
Of
people
course.
dance, they're having fun. So just think that you're doing a dance. Stop thinking
Yeah.
you're doing Kathak.
I
And
mean,
I did that, and there was like a huge difference. And that's one thing I've taken with me whenever I do a performance is, you've worked as hard as you can work. Now you're on stage, like, let go.
just let go. Just let go.
Have a blast, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. You know that this is what you do for this particular reason. And now I'm glad I at least had a blast in the last few times I was performing, because I don't know when I'm even going to be able to perform again. Gosh, such a nightmare.
No, I know for me personally, I mean, I don't dance professionally, but I always have a blast when I dance. And it's always publicly in some sort of social forum. But yeah, so like,
Yeah, someone says after a couple of vodkas, I'm always has
yeah,
fun.
I think Aman, that's very, very true. I mean, look, my form of dance is very different to yours, but still, it's the same. It's a way of me expressing myself at Saturday
Anyone who
night.
doesn't know, Amir is a fantastic dancer. Fantastic. So.
With only one move, with only one great move. Um, so it's great. You've gone from the how you first got into it, then about being the eternal student, then about expressing yourself, and then about just having fun with the whole thing. But I mean, surely there must have been some sort of serious aspect to it. I mean, in terms of your inspirations and people who you look up to in the world of dance. Like, firstly, who are they, and secondly, what was it specifically about them that that makes them an inspiration for you?
So for me, I've been very lucky to be able to have two teachers in my life. So two very strong sources of inspiration. My first teacher and guru, Gaurisha Matrapati, and my current teacher and guru, Sujata Banerjee. And from both of them, I've learned two very, very different sides of one coin. I've been able to combine a sense of abstractness in Kathak with a sense of tradition and riyaz and technique, and really be able to see the best of the both worlds. And that's a very rare and unique opportunity to be in. So I feel very blessed in that sense. So those two women are huge inspirations for me, because both of them are not just phenomenal, successful dancers, but they're also mothers, and they run their own academies. They have two huge schools behind them. They're incredibly successful, and they've done it upon their own hard work. So that is something that is incredibly inspirational for me. But my biggest inspiration in life is actually not a dancer. My biggest inspiration is Arundhati Roy. She's an author, and she's probably someone who I look up to the most, and someone who I see as the greatest inspiration. Because for me, dance, acting, writing, all of them are forms of expression. And the way that she approaches her work, and the way that she approaches her expression, and the stories that she chooses to tell, and the way that she engages herself in her work is something that has always been, I've always been in awe of it. and her life is something that I've always taken inspiration from, and her work ethic and her stories and her stance, whether it's her stance on feminism, whether it's her stance on politics, and the way that she can see that everything is inextricably linked to each other. So you cannot separate aspects of life from one another. Everything is linked. And I just love that. So she's my biggest inspiration.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant stuff. I think that was a very sort of interesting point you said there, especially the fact that you look up to an author as your most inspirational person. The fact that it doesn't matter what type of performing art it is, whether it's writing, speaking, dancing, acting, it's every single act or every single medium is a form of expression. And whether you're a dancer, you could be still giving the same message as an author, but just one through the motion of dance, one through the motion of writing, but still completely giving the same message, which is quite an interesting and quite a weird thing to grasp, but it's also very, very interesting. So it's good. No, but and I think obviously through now we're in such a time now where the events, performing art, that's all sort of been, zapped because of COVID. And there's obviously all these posters coming out. I remember the one where it was a ballerina, and it goes, her next job could be in some sort of tech industry or something like that, which was quite a weird thing to put up, not a very nice thing to put up. But and I know your thoughts after speaking to you on that post. But so firstly, I mean, what did you do throughout COVID, bearing in mind the fact that you couldn't perform live? And secondly, how has that kind of changed the performing arts industry going forward?
So it's been hard. It's been really hard, actually. The way that COVID has hit, especially now, I'm gonna single it out, like the way it's hit the arts industry, but especially the South Asian classical arts industry, because you have the arts industry, and then within the arts industry, you have this tiny little bracket, which is classical art in the UK. South Asian classical arts in the UK, whether you're a musician or whether you're a dancer, whether you're, and it's been hard. The point at which it had reached last year, which was, a sense of there began to be a sense of funding. There began to be a sense of routine towards, a future of tours, contemporary performances, a real push through many choreographers that I know. For example, one that I was working with, Urja Thakur, who's a well-known choreographer, Khattak choreographer and dancer, and another huge mentor for me here in the UK. She was, she's been pushing for so many freelance dancers to have Khattak as their full-time employment, and that was really, really getting somewhere. And I think COVID is taken a hit, especially for those freelance dancers who don't have pre-established academies or pre-established schools or pre-established companies that have students that already have an income, that we're just sort of relying on auditions or gigs and stuff like that. So it's been hard, and especially when you wake up every day in a lockdown and think, okay, what can I do to convince myself to still be a dancer despite the fact that I know there's nothing in sight right now. There's no certainty in sight. There's no sense of what's going to happen next. Where am I going to perform next? How am I going to earn my next paycheck? And then one thing that I would always remember is another thing that Sujata ji, my teacher, told me, which was, a dancer isn't just a dancer because she's on stage. So performance doesn't make you a dancer. Performing constantly doesn't make you a dancer. What makes you a dancer is everything you do when you're off stage. Your dedication to your form, everything, all the work, all the grueling, and all the bad stuff that happens backstage in order for that stage moment to be perfect, to look flawless, to look effortless. So to be a dancer, it's in the mind. You don't have to have jobs, you don't have to have constant opportunities to feel like you're a dancer. I think even if I never get the chance to perform again, I'll forever call myself a dancer, because
For sure.
that's who I am. So it's been difficult, and over COVID, yeah, everything's gone online. But I have a sad perspective on online things now that we're like coming out of the second lockdown again. My online presence, my online dancing has reduced a lot, because after doing quite a bit in the first lockdown, I've just started to feel that it's quite impersonal, and it's quite lonely, and I miss feeding off somebody else's energy in a room, whether it's an audience member, whether it's a collaborator, whether it's a dance friend, whether it's someone I'm dancing with, whether it's just the energy in a rehearsal room, like that, you need that to feed off for your physical body to, you know, be at its best. After a while, online things just get a bit lonely. And so in that sense, it's been really hard. And all I've been doing is keeping up with my own personal little goals at home, you know, whether it's fitness related, whether it's I'm going to figure out how to do 3 spins rather than just 2 spins, you know, and little goals that you maybe wouldn't have had the time to work to had you had like a busy schedule or like a busy tour schedule or whatever. Now you have the time to really hone into certain skills. So
No, that's good. I think that's also it's a key point you put there, where you kind of bounce off other people's energies. I know as well, when I speak publicly, whenever if I'm on stage, or if I'm in front of an audience, I find that a lot easier than when I actually present over Zoom, or present, you know, just over a screen, because you've got, I mean, this is great because we're bouncing off each other's energy, but when you're on Zoom and you're just looking at yourself, you can't really see people's facial expressions that well. You can't really, okay, how are they reacting? Are they laughing at your jokes? Aren't they laughing at your jokes? Do I need to mix it up a bit? So I think that's great. I think for everybody in the sort of performing arts medium, I think COVID has been a good thing and a bad thing. I think it's been a bad thing from the point of view that a lot of people have not been able to perform in a live scenario, or you know, do what they normally do. But I think also a good thing that you kind of manipulate your sort of way of performing into something which is going to be the let's say the new normal going forward. So you are also manipulating your sort of skills to make sure that it's completely apt with what's going on in the world.
yeah,
That's true. That's true.
there are pros and cons to every
Yeah,
situation.
of course. And I mean, just one last point as well before I think, you know, it's been a good interview. But like, what were your main hurdles going since you sort of started dancing? What did you find particularly tough? And consequently, how did you overcome them as well?
I think for me, hurdles in dance have been mainly hurdles as it being a career path. So the hurdles have been mainly economic based. So opportunities, fees, you know, making it economically viable for it to be my sole career path. Those have been the main hurdles. Hurdles within dance are, I really want to be able to do this step. I really can't do it, and it's really irritating. So you work towards it. But as dance being a career path, the hurdles have always just been, you know, economically based. So will I be able to plan the next 3 years so that by then I'll be able to, you know, do XYZ because I'll be able to have enough in my bank account? Will I not be able to? Now the hurdles have become even worse economically, because who even knows? But I think that's mainly what it is. That's why you'll meet most people who either dance or act or whatever, have a part-time job on the side. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't have to be that just because you want to pursue a creative field, you have to give up on, you know, a certain kind of economically viable lifestyle, or you have to slog 2-3 jobs on the side. It shouldn't have to be like that. And I know so many people who are working towards a future where for many freelance artists, it doesn't have to be like that. But it just requires a bit of patience, and it requires a bit of hard work, which people are putting in, definitely. So those have been my biggest hurdles, sort of opportunity based. It's a big pool of dancers and there are a small pool of opportunities. So, you know, you really have to find your way, make your mark. And based on everyone that's here today and all of the really lovely messages, I'm reading all of them. I am reading all of them.
We are reading all of them, guys, so don't worry.
It's really flattering. This is really lovely for me to see. And it's very warm for me to see that you guys are all around and watching, and this is energy that I bounce off and makes me feel like I want to be a dancer because there are people watching, and it's not just, and in obviously you focus on yourself and you focus on your own motivation, but sometimes having this and people giving back means a lot. Some interesting questions. So how is your approach to?
But I think just one point as well, it's also, you know, finding the balance as well is very key, because like, let's say, for example, yourself, you also do journalism on the side, right? I think that was one thing that you were very passionate about, especially around the time of when especially with India and with the current prime minister and your views on that and everything. I think anything you do in life as well, there's the key to it is finding a balance, because you might be passionate about something which may not pay your bills or may not be the biggest moneymaker for you at that one moment in time, but it's a long game. But at the same time, having that one thing which you still are passionate about and still are getting a relatively good salary, I think that's sort of a very key thing to establish for anybody in the performing arts industry. I mean, if you like myself as well, okay, yes, this is something I enjoy and I do it when I'm free, but I have my main profession being in hospitality. It's for people who are also sort of signing in. I think that's a very key thing, is just maintaining that balance between what you're fully passionate about and what at the end of the day pays the bills.
Yeah, and it's been a tough ride for so many dancers, you know. The problem is when you get a full-time job, or if you do get a part-time job, how do you make time for rehearsals? How do you make time to be a full-time dancer on the side, you know? Being in rehearsals, you're not often being paid for them. You spend many hours a week rehearsing for a performance, but you're only ever being paid for the performance. No one sees the hours that go into working towards it, and they're not appreciated. Eventually, we're hoping to get to a future, and yes, there are, you know, certain productions that happen where you are paid for your time, but I think it's very easy to forget that there's a world off stage. That, you know, that takes a lot of work, and that also needs to be rewarded with some kind of payment, especially if you're hiring someone. But it's getting better. It definitely is getting better, and it was getting better. Right now it's not getting better, but we think it will get better. We just need to be patient. And so I think right now patience is key. There are a couple questions here.
Let's go to some of the questions.
How has your approach to fan engagement changed given the lockdown, COVID impacts? Is it just engagement through social media or other approaches? I think lockdown has brought everyone online even more. If anything, if you have a existing online presence, then the lockdown has brought everyone towards you even more, because that's where everything is right now. You're not selling tickets to go anywhere. Everything is free. Everything is online. So you're even more in a situation to talk to everybody online, and you're in even more of a situation to engage with any of your followers. So I think in that sense, COVID has really opened up a lot for sort of like the digital market.
I think your reach also becomes more as well. You know, you start to, I mean, just by this call, we've reached someone in Brazil, obviously people in India, people around the UK. I think it's just great to sort of get your sort of talent out there as well. Because when before social media, I mean, it has its negatives, of course, but in terms of the positives, your reach, your recognition, everything grows so much more. And okay, fine, I understand that you said that doing things online does have that lowliness attached to it, But the positive aspect of it is the fact that you can just branch out to so many different interesting people, and also consequently just learn from them as well, because they will know things that we won't know, and vice versa.
Exactly. Exactly that. You've basically said it. I have nothing to add to that. There's
Yeah.
also another one, which is, I think we answered this before. Most industries have been disrupted by COVID, which have caused them to adapt and innovate. How do you predict that dance or even live entertainment will change for the future? Well, everything has come online. There are different rules established all over the world. Like, for example, I think one of the new tier 2 rules here is that there are no live performances that can happen without a dinner service, which I personally think is ridiculous. But yeah, I think slowly but surely things will open up. It will be a bit of a negative hit in that you won't be able to fill out theaters. Who knows when theaters will even open? You won't be able to fill out seats. You won't be able to, sell tickets, and the tickets are the ones which fund the venues, which fund the performances. But I think, like every industry, the dance industry will adapt. Things will move online. Things will find their way to persist, because there are too many passionate dancers and there are too many passionate artists out there that care about what they do and will not allow a pandemic to dilute their work, and will not allow a pandemic to shift everybody's attention towards an even more capitalist society where artists are even more forgotten and not appreciated. We were working towards a future where artists are even more appreciated, and I don't think I know even one artist that will push its way forward, that won't push its way forward. So
No, that's great. I think I think what people need to also understand is that regardless of the situation we're in, we have to realize that it's only a short period of time. It's very short term. It seems like an eternity, but things will eventually get back to normal. People will get back to their normal lives and to love what they're doing. It's just this in between period, which is causing you restrictions in your everyday life, but B, also is, allowing you to think, well, what can I do differently to adapt into a situation where if we get something like this again or something similar, how can I use my experience from the last, let's say, pandemic or whatever it was, and adapt it to this current time?
exactly. Everything is about adaptability. Everything is about finding your way forward. I think I did this piece. I don't know if Sham's still here, but he did it with me. He's another dancer. A lockdown production, which happened sort of at the tail end of in the summer, and we were rehearsing on Zoom, and it was a new piece of choreography that everyone was doing from within their own houses. So within their own kitchens, everyone was in the kitchen, everyone was in their staircase, everyone was in their garden, etc., etc. And a lot of the choreography and a lot of the creative journey was about confining your mind and confining your space. And often I found that when you put borders around yourself, or when you block your creativity in certain ways, your mind and your body will find a unique way around it. So if anything, this confinement and this border that's been put on our creativity is helping us push through in a very unique or in a new way that maybe wasn't the obvious, wasn't the predictable option. And maybe there's something good that comes out of it.
It's interesting you say it, because that's the whole point of being creative, is to find different things from different parts of the world. And when, I think with some people as well, some people, they may feel depressed that they're not doing what they love, but this is where you really show your creativity is, okay, how can I literally break the box completely and go, how can I do what I love doing in this current time?
Yeah,
so
exactly
that's interesting. So yeah, that's great. No, are there any more questions? Not that I can see. A lot of comments, a lot of great comments. Thanks, guys, especially a few funny ones from some people about hair and other things. But yeah, no, great. Thank you, guys. So yeah, thanks, Saloni. I think the main message that I want to portray, and I wanted to portray from this Insta Live session, was the fact that there are so many things that we as people are passionate about, and that we get, especially, I mean, a lot of the people that have joined in are Indian, and coming from an Indian background myself as well, I think we're sort of pushed down a lot of this sort of corporate ladder, stereotypical mindset that we have to work in an office to be successful, and go down that route of becoming an MD or whatever in a bank or a law firm. But I think what also people need, so I started understanding, is that if you're not passionate about what you do, you're never going to become successful at it, right? And if you don't love what you do, you're never going to become successful. So I think, before, if there are any more questions, then that would be great. But I think one question that I would love for people to ask them as they dial off is, are you passionate about what you're doing at this current moment in time? And if you're not, what can you do to maybe reignite that passion, or do you need to change your career path? What do you need to do from that point?
Yeah.
So yeah. And then there's what mental health issues are most apparent, especially in the UK during lockdown? That's a great one, actually. That's something that I've been actually working. I think that's a pandemic. That's a silent pandemic, the mental health issues that people are going through. And personally, I think that is as deadly, if not more deadly, than the pandemic, that the actual COVID pandemic, because people have lost their livelihoods, people have lost their sort of, just their general ways of doing things. But then, like this video is portraying, is that there are many other ways in which you can just get on the front foot again and just realize how to sort of keep moving forward. Just that element of resilience that you need to have in yourself as an individual, as a human being. I think that takes you towards the finish line. Should we do one last question? Oh, that was a nice conversation. It was a question. Brilliant. Thanks a lot, guys. So yeah, just think about that question, whether you're passionate about what you're currently doing at the moment. I know Saloni is, and I am. So let's keep it forward. And any questions, anything, then please drop either myself or Saloni a message. Our sort of Instagram handles are at the top, and we'll see you soon, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Amir. Thank
you. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Bye.